I just had a shower not too long ago and fully accidentally washed my hair with body wash. I don't really know how I did that, and I'm feeling really, really defeated right now. So I hope that energy doesn't kind of ruin this video. So the title here is Be a More Judgmental Person, and maybe it's disappointing, but I probably won't be arguing for like the strongest, most controversial version of that, but hopefully it's still interesting. I think it is, and I think that there's, I do think a lot of us could afford to be more mean, but we'll get there. You might notice I'm not recording in like immaculate conditions tonight. I've got my cat here on my lap, coming in and out of frame as I cut, and my girlfriend is watching Alone season 5 in the living room, so you might hear some interesting sounds. Maybe we'll hear a bear attack in the distance. So the context for this is that I'm trying to become a more judgmental person. So what does that look like? The main thing it looks like right now for me is I'm keeping what I'm calling a reverse diary, which means that unlike you selfish person who record your thoughts and feelings in your diary, I totally unselfishly record the thoughts and feelings of other people in my diary. And yeah, like there's a few different ways, I could sell this, I guess. The first being that it just, when my girlfriend asks, oh, you went and talked to that person, what's going on with them? Oh, why did they do that? Now I actually have a way of remembering, because I'm not always the best at remembering those details. The maybe like slightly less shallow kind of small talky answers that, it's an opportunity to really reflect on my interactions with people, reflect on what I'm learning about them, their motivations. And that's really good for becoming a better characterizer. That can help me with my efforts to write more fiction. But the kind of like deeper, truer motivation is just that I'm really annoyed by this aspect of my personality. I'm annoyed by the style I have of understanding people. So I wanted to try to intervene on that. So basically what this comes down to is I just think I'm not a good judge of character. I'm not good at making inferences about people's motivations, about their inner lives, based on just the limited information I get from talking to them. And obviously all of us experience that to some extent, and obviously it is a skill that you can practice, otherwise I wouldn't be practicing it. But I do think that it does kind of exist at the level of personality, like whether that comes really easily to you. And since I'm trying to become more judgmental, I've come up with a little personality typology to kind of make sense of this. So the first camp, and this is the camp I'm in, is what I'm calling the slow theorists of mind. And if you want to help me workshop a better name, I'd appreciate that. So in this camp, we have people who are kind of passive and receptive in learning about others, but they withhold judgment as a rule. They always expect there to be more to the story, even when there's not more to the story. The rule of thumb is that people are complex until proven simple. So runs with this assumption that there's probably, always more to someone's actions than meets the eye. I just assume that people's full, complexity will probably always escape me, and I accept that. And yeah, this is kind of like more of and I don't know, maybe this won't make sense until I contrast it with the other style, but I think of it as more of like an artistic way of doing things. Like it's like you're receiving people's stories, you're accepting the story that they're giving you, and kind of like using your imagination, bringing your imagination to it to make it feel like it comes together as something that adds up. It's like a symphony is just a bunch of random different notes, unless you as the audience, through your imaginative powers, assemble it into the work of art that it is. And I think that's a way of looking at what this side is doing, is like the stories that people are giving us, even if they're kind of made of all these disparate little pieces that don't necessarily make sense, we're really good at making them feel like they make sense. So that kind of makes people feel like they're accepted, and that can feel like a good thing. Like we kind of assume a unified whole where all the contradictions and the anomalies of what people are telling us are resolved, somewhere, even if it's off screen. So we're kind of, receiving people, engaging with their storytelling about themselves in this kind of aesthetic way almost. And yeah, the goal, I guess, fundamentally is acceptance. I accept you, I accept the story you're telling me, which at its best, can feel compassionate, and at its worst can just kind of be, it can just be wrong, it can just be false. You can get misled. You can end up with really like shallow models of other people and, feel like you're connecting to them when you're actually really not. Yeah, so even though that's the side that I identify with, you might be able to tell that I find it a bit hard to understand. Like, I find it a bit hard to understand what I'm even doing. And I think the other side is a bit more legible, and maybe that's because their whole thing is legibility and making other people legible. So that was the slow theorist of mind, and the other side is the quick theorist of mind. Again, names pending. Please give me your ideas. So this is what my girlfriend is, which is why this contrast is so obvious to me. So the quick theorist of mind is really motivated to dig into others' motivations, comes up with hypotheses. Usually the simplest explanation is the best one. Not always, but that's the rule of thumb. People are simple until proven complex. If someone's telling you a really elaborate story about why they did something, they probably made that up after the fact. This style of understanding people, you're like creating, testing, and discarding models of others, just like you're trying to get through it quickly with prejudice, not with prejudice, but like, you know what I mean. And yeah, like no one is spared. Everyone gets assessed, gets probed. At least, you know, when it's safe to probe. But yeah, like none of the models, none of the judgments are held too tightly until there's really kind of good evidence. So from the language I'm using, you can maybe guess, or at least maybe this makes sense. I think this is more like a scientific style of doing things, like really kind of seeking not just to accept, but to really understand, and to actually do the work of resolving anomalies, contradictions through investigation, not just kind of appreciating them and imagining some resolution, some place where they all come together. And yeah, I think when this goes well, you end up with accurate models. Of course, it doesn't always go well. I think a lot of people who, you know, kind of would tend towards this aren't actually that good at it. Maybe they're not. Maybe they want to understand, they have that motivation to dig, but they're just not good at framing questions, or they just get kind of pissed off and give up too soon and end up with judgments about people that are much stronger than they can actually support, and you end up kind of overfitted. So yeah, like at its best, I think this style like actually like negotiates the weird kind of conflicting information we can get from people and tries to, you know, reconcile it. And at its worst, it can end up being dismissive and mean when it doesn't go well. Yeah, I think I feel like I got through that description a lot quicker, but for some reason it's a lot clearer in my mind, and maybe that's because it's kind of aspirational for me, and this isn't like a science rules take. I really feel like I'm missing out by not having more of that style in my social life. So just as a super quick and dirty summary, yeah, the slow theorist or the kind of artistic style, I think the primary goal is accepting people. And for the quick theorist, the more scientific style, it's to understand them. And yeah, I don't know, if the word judgment doesn't feel right, I don't know, like I am kind of using it in my own way. I just mean like any statement where I'm speculating about someone and trying to characterize them accurately, like, you know, did they say that about you because they wanted to compliment you, but they're bad at finding words? Did they say that because they're a bitch? Did they say that because they're an Enneagram 8? Did they say that because they're a Scorpio? Like, asserting any of these is making a judgment. And yeah, judgments can be more or less nice, more or less mean, more or less true. And yeah, I don't know, if you are suspicious of these being kind of real personality types, real clusters of behaviors, fair. Maybe it doesn't really map neatly onto you or anyone you know. And maybe, sure, you could exhibit, like, you know, different of these behaviors at different times, different areas, in different relationships in your life. But yeah, I just, in my social circles, I really see these emerging in people. Like, I see the evidence. in people I know. Like, obviously, I mentioned me. I feel like I'm strongly on one side of this. I mentioned my girlfriend. Like, her mind is a questioning machine, and she's always applying this. Like, at least when she can get away with it, like any interaction. Not that she's like interrogating strangers, but yeah, when it feels like it's safe, she will always drill down because, yeah, her hunger to understand people is really, really strong. She wants to understand people's motivations and how they see their own motivations and whether their story actually adds up. And yeah, when she can't ask someone directly, she's always making educated guesses, always making judgments, and is watching for evidence to see if those judgments are wrong. And then, yeah, on the other hand, my little brother, like I mentioned, that, I was kind of talking about this over dinner, and I said something about how, yeah, I just feel like I let people wash over me. And he was like, on the drive home, he was like, yeah, when you said that, yeah, I related to that so much. But yeah, he's really in the camp of feeling like that's the way to be, It's more generous, not to speculate, and just to take people at their word. But at the same time, he also said he feels like maybe sometimes he gets taken advantage of because of that. So at this point, I don't know, maybe it's kind of weird to you that I've said that I'm so annoyed that I am the way I am. Like, surely we shouldn't like valence this personality, these personality types as one's the good one, one's the bad one. Like, sounds like maybe they have strengths and weaknesses. But no, I just feel like I'm the bad type because I feel like, just like given my values, that the failure mode of the slow theorist is much worse. Like, I feel like my natural state is being kind of incurious, and I end up with really flat, like vague portraits of people, and yeah, I think that makes it harder to build connections with people and to build intimacy with people, and that's my shit. So yeah, it feels really important to me to work on it. So I've been percolating on all this stuff for a while. I've been making my entries in my reverse diary, and I feel like I'm asking more questions. But what really kind of prompted me to want to make a video about this is I came across this Substack note from a blogger named Henrik Carlson, and I'll just read it. He says, "One of my core beliefs is that it is impossible to fit another person inside my head. They are far too complex for my mental models of them to do them justice. The only way to understand them and do them justice is to meet them in open dialogue, to give them the chance to share their thoughts and react to ours. Conversely, it is a tiny bit like killing someone, as Bakhtin says, to treat them as an object that you can understand and predict. It is to deny the most deeply human thing in us, our capacity to learn and change." Yeah, that sounds really reasonable, right? Except no, I just 100% disagree. And yeah, I clapped back in the comments section, and now I'm gonna read you my clap back. I commented, "Say this to me before this year, and I sympathize with you entirely. By disposition, I endlessly invite people to describe and redescribe themselves to me in their own terms. But I've realized that this means that I let people wash over me. It's not good. I think we share the sense that people are endlessly detailed and changing and surprising, and that openness to being surprised by someone is part of intimacy. I want to emphasize, though, that being asked to suspend judgment, as though judgment were an impediment to this intimacy, is wrong. Judgment is a part of intimacy. I am surprised by someone in greater and greater detail when I am actively forming and reforming judgments as I encounter them. I model what I want to know. For what is unstable and constantly transforming, I have a model that is unstable and constantly transforming. Prediction and description are not failures of love or curiosity. We only fail love and curiosity when we fail to speak and question our judgments, when we let them live as vague and obscure assumptions. A quick way to someone's heart is to describe them well. So that's my hot take. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing with my little diary exercise, and hopefully that kind of makes sense. I'm really curious what y'all think about this. Do you think my little binary is real? If you think it's real, what do you think your tendency is? Do you think I am right to be annoyed with myself or not? Are you persuaded to write a reverse diary? Let me know. Thanks.